The Whispering Woods, a horror camping story. The night air was thick with the scent of pine, and the distant hoot of an owl echoed through the forest. A group of 5 friends, Jake, Emily, Ryan, Lisa, and Ben, had ventured into the deep woods for a weekend camping trip, eager to escape the pressures of their daily lives. They had chosen a secluded spot, miles away from civilization, guided only by an old map they had found online. "Guys, this is perfect," Jake said, stretching his arms. "No phone service, no responsibilities. Just us and nature." Emily, ever the skeptic, glanced around. "Yeah, perfect for getting murdered in the middle of nowhere," she muttered. Lisa laughed. "Come on, Em, this is going to be fun." As they set up camp near a small clearing surrounded by towering trees, the sun dipped below the horizon, painting the sky in hues of red and orange. The first night began like any other camping trip, s'mores by the fire, ghost stories, and laughter. But as the fire crackled and the darkness thickened around them, a strange unease settled over the group. The first night, long after the fire had died down, the group crawled into their tents, the warmth of their sleeping bags providing comfort against the cold bite of the night. Ryan was the first to wake. A soft whisper brushed against his ear. At first he thought it was Lisa talking in her sleep, but as he opened his eyes, he realized it was something else entirely. The whisper didn't belong to anyone in their group. It was distant, yet unnervingly close, an eerie, unintelligible murmur floating through the trees. Ryan held his breath, his heart hammering against his ribs. He turned to wake Ben, but something stopped him. From the entrance of their tent he saw a shadow moving. A figure, standing motionless just beyond the dim glow of the embers. Ryan shut his eyes tight, hoping he was imagining things. But when he opened them again, the figure was still there, closer this time. Then, just as suddenly as it appeared, it vanished. The next morning, Ryan dismissed it as a dream, blaming the eerie sensation on exhaustion. But as the day progressed, the woods around them began to feel different. As the group hiked deeper into the forest, they started noticing peculiar things. Emily pointed at a set of footprints leading away from their camp. "These weren't here before," she said, her voice uneasy. "Maybe a deer," Jake suggested, though the footprints were human-sized and far too deep to be from an animal. Lisa frowned. "Except, they don't lead anywhere, they just stop." That night, the whispering returned. This time, everyone heard it. The wind carried the voices through the trees, soft, urgent, unintelligible. The whispers seemed to come from every direction, surrounding them. Then came the laughter. Faint, almost playful at first, but then it grew distorted, turning into something guttural and unnatural. Ben bolted upright. "Did you hear that?" Emily clutched her blanket. "That wasn't the wind." A sudden, violent rustling erupted from the trees. The group scrambled out of their tents, their flashlights flickering to life. Nothing. Just the empty woods. But the moment they turned back toward their tents, Ryan gasped. "Look!" All around them, hanging from the branches, were small wooden effigies, crudely crafted, shaped like tiny humanoid figures. They swayed gently in the night breeze. "Who the hell put those there?" Lisa whispered. "Guys," Emily stammered. "I think we should leave." But leaving wasn't that easy. As they tried to follow the trail back to their car the next morning, the woods began to shift. Landmarks they had marked were gone. The trail twisted and turned in ways that didn't make sense, leading them deeper instead of out. "We're going in circles," Jake muttered, panic creeping into his voice. "That's impossible," Ben said. "We followed the exact same route." Then came the whispers again, louder this time, and the laughter. The group broke into a sprint, crashing through the undergrowth, but no matter how far they ran, the trees stretched endlessly before them. Lisa screamed. They turned to see her standing frozen, her flashlight shaking. Before her, halfway behind the trees, was a figure. It was tall and thin, with hollow, empty eyes and a twisted grin carved into its rotting face. Its elongated fingers twitched as it cocked its head, watching them. Then, as if responding to some unheard call, it rushed toward them. The group ran until their legs gave out, finally collapsing near a dried-up riverbed. Emily sobbed. "We need to keep moving." Ryan, shaking, whispered, "I don't think it wants us to leave." Night fell once more and they huddled together, keeping the fire alive as long as they could. The whispers turned into voices. The voices turned into screams. Jake, exhausted and delirious, stood up. "Maybe if we just—" Before he could finish, something yanked him backward into the darkness. Lisa lunged after him, grabbing his arm. "Jake!" But he was being pulled by invisible hands, his body dragging across the forest floor. Then he was gone. The remaining four screamed his name, but the forest swallowed their cries. Desperation took over. They ran without direction, without thought, guided only by their terror. Then, just as they thought they would never escape, they saw it, their car parked at the edge of the woods. Relief flooded them as they sprinted forward. Ben reached the driver's seat first, fumbling for the keys. The engine roared to life, and as soon as the others jumped in, he floored the gas. The trees blurred past them, the whispers chasing them until they hit the main road. They didn't stop driving until they were miles away. A week later, a search team found Jake's backpack. Inside was a recording from his phone. The last thing he had captured was a voice, not his own. A whispering chorus, speaking in unison. "You took our place. Now we take yours." They never found Jake. And when the wind howled outside their homes, the remaining four could still hear it. The whispering, calling them back.